From the language app Babbel, this is Multilinguish. I'm executive producer Jen Jordan. We have already arrived at the last episode of our first season. Thanks for sticking with us. I think you can tell we've had so much fun putting together these episodes for you, and we've learned a lot in the process. There's some great bonus content coming soon, and we've already started planning for another season, so stay tuned. As we plan, we want to hear from you. Please visit today's Babbel magazine article, linked in the episode description, and take our listener survey. We really appreciate it. So today, we're tackling one of the most pressing social issues of our time. What is the sexiest accent? But actually, there are some interesting reasons about why you may be drawn to a particular accent, and we'll get into that research as well. If you enjoy learning about accents and how they develop, you'll enjoy our United States of Accents series on the magazine, written by our own producer, Thomas Moore Devlin. First up, our American panelists discuss European accents. In the second half, producer Dylan Lyons leads a panel of our European colleagues in a discussion about American accents. A big thanks to actor Amy Walker, who voiced many of the accents on this episode. So which accent comes out on top? Let's get into it.
So this should be fun. I should qualify, it's the sexiest European accents in English. So when people from these countries speak English, not their own languages, because that might change things.
Yeah, distinction.
So actually Babbel did a survey of about 15,000 people from Brazil, Spain, France, Germany, the UK, the US, and Australia to get a sense of their favorite European accents, which they think are the most attractive. And we have the survey results, but we're not going to tell you just yet because we want to ask our panel their thoughts first.
We should probably qualify that we're all Americans.
Yes,
so.
We have a panel of Americans to give their biased and non-scientific thoughts on the most attractive European accents. And we should also qualify that European countries and all countries have a lot of different accents and dialects, and these are just kind of the standard generic ones.
Yes, this isn't fun, not
this
the
is
scientific
fun, yes.
analysis.
So, I guess let's start by introducing our panel. Just say your name and what state you're from to get a sense of where you're coming from, accent-wise. And I'm Dylan. I'm from New Jersey, but I learned to talk in California. So
cool.
I don't know if that has to do with it. I was 2 to 3.
Okay.
Where were your formative years spent? I think that's more important.
Wasn't it Kentucky?
And what's a formative year?
Yeah, what is a formative year?
Like when your brain is like the most jelly, like impressionable bit, like in your teenage years.
So he's still in that.
Teenage years?
Oh.
Kentucky and New Jersey.
All right, so Dylan's from the United States. Hello, I'm Thomas, and I'm from Massachusetts, period.
Hi, I'm Taylor. I'm from Ohio, the good old Midwest.
Hi, I'm Allie. I'm from Philadelphia, Pennsylvania.
I'm Jen. I'm from Maine.
Yay!
That's the best state.
I have a question. You said European, but then you mentioned Australia.
They were surveyed.
Oh, okay.
So was Brazil.
Just making
But
sure.
the accents are not from anywhere other than Europe.
So that's not an option.
Correct.
All right, just making sure.
Sorry.
Thomas is very bad. I feel like that's already Thomas's favorite accent.
So we know his favorite accent.
So we're going to play some accents for us, just so we're all on the same page.
Just to give you a sense. So I'm going to play some accent samples from actor and accent coach Amy Walker. She does some great accents. She's studied a lot of different accents and really perfected them over the years. So let's start with English, shall we?
Hello, my name is Amy Walker. I'm 25 years old and I was born in London, England. You're right, I'm Amy Walker. I'm 25 years old and I was born in London, weren't I? Yes, hello. My name is Amy Walker. I'm 25 years old and I was born in London, England.
So those are 3 different parts of London.
Well,
Which parts again?
yeah. What would I
assume it was like standard London, then like Cockney, and then like posh royal.
I do like the posh accents.
Is that like
Love
received
that.
pronunciation?
That's what it's called, right?
Yes. RP.
The third one?
Yes. It's funny if you look at like the rankings, like they have like rankings of like what are the best English accents. There's like received pronunciation is like always at the top because if you're British, you're trained to be most sexually attracted to the Queen. And then
What?
the
What?
lowest is when people try to fake received pronunciation.
Wait,
So-
what is received pronunciation?
So it's basically how you're taught to speak if you're a royal or just any high ranking. It's like a speech of the nobility very specifically.
So,
And if you're trying to fake it and someone knows that you're faking it, then you automatically like are seen as like an idiot.
great. Well, I will say that I personally find English accents to be very attractive. Not received pronunciation and not the Queen, but
I do. I feel very basic again.
yeah.
I have a thing for British accents.
Yeah, like the
Even the
standard
Queen.
British.
I like the
Especially
British
Claire
accent.
Foy playing the Queen. I'm very into the way she says thank you. I can't do it. Her vowels are very like
Thank
specific.
you. No, that was bad.
I can't do British accent.
Yeah, let's not try.
I'm not even
Yeah.
going to try.
I can only copy what she said. My name is Amy Walker.
I'm 25 years old and I was born in London.
It just sounds at the beginning like she's gonna go missing, like really soon. Like,
Well,
I mean, as we know in this office, I have very strong opinions about how the sexiness of British accents is only perceived because of colonialist ideals.
we're
Yeah.
going to actually go into the reasons behind why we think certain accents are sexy, but we'll wait to have Thomas bring the mood down later on.
Yeah. Captain Boozkin.
Yeah, I do feel like you're very socialized. I think that British people are smarter, and like that whole like running bit in Arrested Development where they have Charlize Theron is just because she has a British accent, like everyone thinks she's like a super creative genius.
That's true.
Yeah.
So
Okay.
I was just going to end by saying, like, usually it's smart rather than attractive that's necessarily associated with it.
Yeah, I
it is
feel like-
attractive.
yeah.
I'm also not a fan.
Near my.
I didn't say. Because I,
Oh, yeah, you
I spent a
said that.
semester in London, and at the end of it, I was just like, why are y'all talking like this?
I was still charmed even after 4 months living there.
I think it's cute, but not sexy.
Okay,
Yeah.
that's fair.
That's a good qualifier.
All right, let's move on to Ireland.
That's right. My name's Amy Walker and I was born in Dublin, Ireland.
So,
It's
what do
a
we
no for me, though.
What do we think about Irish?
No. Absolutely
Thomas,
How do you
you're
know
Irish.
I'm not
You're sitting
Irish,
right next to Thomas.
but I am descended from the Irish.
Oh, that's pretty good.
Thank you. Well, I can only do my Irish accent if I'm imitating the bus driver that I had when I had a trip to the Cliffs of Moher.
not. Make it in.
I don't know. It's not like. But again, if we're using specifically sexy, I find sexy hard to
Yeah.
like with the Irish.
It's cool.
Yeah,
It's fun.
It's
It's,
rad.
it's whimsical.
Yeah.
It's very whimsical. Like, it has a cadence that's very, like, up and down, and it's very fun. But again, I wouldn't say that it's, like, sexy.
I find it's one of the easiest accents to pick up if you just spend a bit of time in Ireland.
All right.
Yeah, I'm not even.
Let's
gonna
move
try.
on so Thomas stops.
Rude.
All right.
Keep it in.
We're gonna go to take a little trip to Italy now.
Buongiorno. My name is Amy Walker and I'm from Italia.
It's like a close second for me because I think it sounds like they're just like sexy hand movements I'm doing right now. I don't know.
No one can see your
I
hands,
think
Taylor. This is
female
podcast.
Italian accents are very sexy.
Yeah.
And male British accents. I
Okay.
find it's a gendered line for me.
Interesting.
Yeah. I mean, it sounds nice, fancy. I don't know.
It sounds warm.
Warm.
Yeah. I can see that.
It's a warm country.
It just sounds sexy. Like it's just
temperature-wise.
Just makes me think of sunshine.
Oh.
pasties.
Yeah, and food.
All right. Well, speaking of sunshine, no, this is Germany.
Guten Tag. My name is Amy Walker. I'm 25 years old and I was born in Berlin, in Germany.
I don't want to say it's not sexy, but
I will say it's not sexy. 100% will say it.
yeah,
German is interesting, and I think that's another thing we'll touch on
Yeah.
when we talk about why we have certain perceptions of accents. I agree, though. I personally find it a little more harsh, I guess, is in terms of it's a guttural language, right?
yeah. I mean, they've got the chs and the kus and the just
And
the
the
Hugs and kisses.
Yeah, you know, that's how you pronounce X and O actually in the text.
Yeah, I'll say, like, as someone who has a lot of German family, many of whom have accents, I don't find it appealing. And I've heard a lot of it, so I just don't like it.
You know, one time when I was in Bavaria and I went to Neuschwanstein Castle, which is what Cinderella's castle is based on, I had this tour, and the person's accent who was giving the tour was like, sounded fake. I'll do my imitation of it. Because it was, welcome to Neuschwanstein Castle, home of Ludwig II, built in honor of his favorite composer, Wagner. And I'm like, you sound like you're jumping up and down.
Yeah, to be fair, it's Bavarian. I feel like that's a whole just like cartoon area of the country. like Germans will make fun of Bavaria, don't they? At least my German family.
It's like very traditional.
Well, I mean, I went to a big castle, so like obviously.
And maybe it's a little put on because our tour guide. I don't know.
Yeah.
Maybe
he was just doing his job, Thomas.
To be ridiculous.
Okay,
moving on.
Russia.
Hello, my name is Amy Walker and I'm from Moscow, in Russia.
I love Russians.
I feel like Russian can be sexy.
I don't know. I think I have a lot of like PTSD. I had like a Russian coach, so like I just associate it with like getting yelled at.
That's fair.
It can be sexy.
Yeah, but not in a sexy way. It was like do push-ups in a non-sexy way.
I feel like in the past maybe, but in the current political climate, I have trouble. Because I just picture Putin.
I do think Russian, at least like Russian women are like over-sexualized, so maybe that could...
That's true.
I mean, I just think of James Bond whenever I hear Russian, which is not great.
James Bond is not Russian.
No, I know James Bond isn't Russian, but Russians always play the villains. Or the seductresses who turn on the villain and sleep with James Bond, and then they're murdered by the end of it. Femme fatale.
Spoiler.
That's also the reason why I think British accents are so sexy on men.
Because of James Bond.
Because of James Bond.
Yeah. Huh.
Do you have any Russian thoughts, Al?
I feel like I'm looking for words to describe these accents, and I think the Russian accent is very rich sounding. Like it feels very like rounded.
That kind of makes sense, though. I mean, like, Russian culture in general has so much history and, like, so much pain, I guess, in a lot of ways. Just, like, studying, like, movies and literature from there, it kind of makes sense. There would be, like, a lot more behind the accent. But it's also me kind of, like, giving more context myself to the accent, which I think is part of the reason why I like it.
Interesting. All right. Well, next up, we have... What do we have? We have French.
Bonjour, je m'appelle Amy Walker. J'ai 25 ans and I was born in Paris, en France.
I love a good French accent. Let me tell you.
Yeah, right before you played the clip, Taylor and Thomas made very different faces.
What face did I make? I was trying to keep myself from sniffing too loudly.
You looked extremely pained.
I find French to be pretty sexy for men and women.
It's like just enough, the right amount of pretentiousness, if that makes sense.
They're definitely better than you.
Yeah.
I'm into it.
But it's like, you are better than me. Like,
I don't know. Having spent 4 months there in Paris, it's okay.
I mean, yeah, I do.
I mean, you spent 4 months there too, and like you have the opposite.
Yeah, I fell in love.
Love in the city of love.
In the city of love. No, but I think I just like, I don't know, I think I just associate it because I studied there and I had such a good time and I was like so young. I'm like, maybe I always associate like positive like vibes to it. But also I just love, it's weird because I don't really like hearing the French language, but I like it when they're trying to speak English, if that makes sense. Because I just think it makes English just sound like a cursive English, like cursive.
I like
accents
that.
are cursive English.
Yeah.
I like that a lot.
I feel like I just associate the French accent with like mean Parisians who judge you for not being able to speak French as well as them. Just like, that's the whole point. I'm trying to learn. I'm trying to talk to you.
They do get really angry.
Yeah,
I had that experience a lot.
Interesting. Okay. Well, we are leaving Amy Walker behind and going to someone else for a Swedish accent.
Hi guys, and welcome to another kind of Swedish lesson. I will not teach you like some real basic Swedish.
I'm gonna put it out there. I don't really care about the Scandinavian accent at all. Any of them.
I'm like not familiar with any of them.
Yeah, I agree. I haven't come
I've
into
tried their
contact with
candy.
many.
Not a fan. So.
We know.
I quite like the accent. I'm not sure I would call it sexy necessarily, but I think that it's very fun to listen to. It's a very delightful sound.
Yeah.
It's definitely
it is
fun,
Mm-hmm.
but it's not sexy.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay. Okay. That's fair.
Because a shrug from Thomas.
All right. Spanish from Spain.
Hi, how is it going? I hope you're having a nice day, and I'm Juan from Spain.
I think Spanish can be sexy. There's just so many different dialects, though. It's like
They
the
all sound
issue.
so different.
Yeah, like extremely different. So
Yeah, it depends what part of the country you go to. But
Do we know where that person who just spoke comes from?
Certainly seems nice.
nope.
because you have like the type of.
Someone said like standard. I don't know. If
But
that's-
what is standard?
Yeah, exactly.
Nothing is standard.
Nothing is standard. Because if you go to like Barcelona and
like the-
Catalan,
Catalan?
Yeah.
it's like
It's like a
very different sounding than other parts. But in general, I find Spanish accents very sexy, personally.
But for standard would be, it's not marked in any way about the region. Like standard American is the accent that like newscasters use because you can't really pinpoint where
So
it's
just
from.
shouting. That's
No, that's not. Well, it's just they
What
talk
news do you watch?
like Bostonians are like they don't have R's, but standard is just it's defined by a lack of characteristics rather than a presence of them. So standard, any other language, because every language does have some form of standard, is usually what's spoken. It's not spoken by any actual people. So this person probably is close to standard, which probably means that they live in like a metropolitan area where they've had the edges of their accent brushed off, because that's what happens when people move.
Interesting.
So you just said that there is a standard, but no one uses it?
So standard exists as like an ideal, like a platonic form. There's a standard, but no one actually speaks a standard. But you can try to approximate the standard if you want to. But like that's not how people speak. It's like how English, when you speak in the English language, there is like a standard perfect way to speak English by grammarians or whatever, if you want to follow grammarians. But no one actually speaks that way.
Yeah, everybody has some
Yeah.
sort of accent or affectation
Yeah.
or something that affects their speech.
Yeah.
Okay.
So for Spain, I think part of it for me is that I really love Spain. Like, it makes me feel like I'm there, hearing the accent and like being on the beach and eating paella. So I think that's part of the reason I like it. But
Sounds like a sandy paella.
Yeah, would you eat paella on the beach?
okay,
Yeah.
I'll eat it first and then go to
It's
the beach.
like a massive
Okay, I'll go to the beach first and then I'll go back to shore and eat. Anyway,
I just associate Spanish with like, I took Spanish for so many years, so I just associate with like those little dialogues. And it's just like, hola Juan, ¿cómo estás? And it's like, hola Maria, soy bien.
and those dialogues aren't sexy to you.
Not particularly. They're usually just trying to teach me beach vocab, like La Playa and
Paella. Anyway.
Those are the only things you need to know, right?
Yeah. How do you say there's so much sand in my paella?
So the last accent we're going to hear is Portuguese.
So I decided to take this free week quite literally and do something a little liberating, which is make a video in my own language.
I don't know.
I like Portuguese.
I kind of
I
like
like it.
Portuguese now.
Yeah, that was nice.
I like when our editor Ruby talks to me. So
Do you think it's sexy?
no, I just like his accent.
So you don't think Portuguese
No, I don't,
don't
not
think
think
it's
it's sexy,
sexy.
but I don't think I plead the fifth.
I think it's probably my third favorite.
Okay.
Yeah, I definitely like it. It's like a unique, like kind of accent, like a little flair to it.
Was the Portuguese accent we heard Brazilian Portuguese or Portugal
No, it was
Portuguese?
Portugal.
Because they are quite different.
Yes.
I do think Brazilian Portuguese and their accents are gorgeous.
I love them too, but they're not European, so we can't include them.
For the
Because
sake
this
of our
is
very
European
scientific
accents.
rigor and research.
So I guess, should we all just go around and say our favorite and least favorite?
Sure.
Okay. Jen, would you like to start?
So as I've mentioned several times, my favorite is probably still British, as basic and annoying as I feel saying that. My least favorite, I don't like Scandinavian accents. Sorry, coworkers who are Scandinavian. I think you're lovely. I don't find your accent sexy.
Okay, I will go. For me, it's a tie for sexiest between English, like British, and Spanish. I like them both a lot. And my least favorite is probably German, but I love this German company that this podcast is made by. Thanks.
I don't know. Like, French is sexy, but it's like, we get it.
You're
We
sexy.
get it. It's just, it's defined as sexy practically. It's fine. I don't know.
So is that your favorite or not?
I wish listeners could have seen Thomas's face when he said that. He's grimacing right now.
Sure. I don't know. I didn't like viscerally respond to any of them.
Thomas only likes Boston accents.
Australian accents.
Oh yeah, yes.
American accents.
And
Should have
then,
played an Australian clip.
well, and then least favorite. I don't know. I don't like this game.
So you don't have a favorite or least favorite. Great.
They're all equal in my heart of hearts.
They're all equally not your favorite.
Sounds boring.
Yeah.
Okay, Taylor.
So my favorite obviously is French.
Obviously.
My least favorite is a lot, but I'll keep it short. Definitely German.
We'll keep it short.
Yeah.
Do you have more to say on that?
German, Russian, Scandinavian, but no, like,
If you're not French, don't mess with Taylor.
yeah, pretty much.
Only speak to Taylor in a French accent,
speaking
even if you're not French.
Yeah, I don't know. I think maybe just because, like, also I just feel like I maybe haven't been exposed enough to the other languages I don't like. So, like, hearing it is kind of, like, different for me. So I don't really have patience. I don't know.
It's interesting that your like Russian fencing coach PTSD doesn't play more of a factor in you choosing Russian though.
Yeah, no, because everything it was like, honestly, I picked up a little bit of Russian, but they were probably all curse words or things that should not be said again. It was just like people yelling. But yeah, I don't know. I think I was around it so much that it kind of gave me the reverse effect versus like with being like studying abroad in Paris, I got kind of like a positive effect. So
Interesting.
yeah, definitely.
Exposure plays a role.
Yeah, exposure definitely plays a role.
All right, Allie.
I feel like I was kind of the wrong person to ask to be on this episode because as we have discussed this, I'm now realizing that I don't, like, accents aren't a huge factor for me. It's rather like what the person's voice sounds like. And if they have an annoying voice, then like it's game over. Like you can have a French accent, but have like the most nasally voice and it's ugly as hell.
I feel like you like Australian too. A lot.
That's one way to put it. I think Australian accents are whimsical,
Okay.
as I think many accents are whimsical. But I think for me, looking at accents is also a matter of like looking at the way that we've been trained to believe certain accents are sexy and like how we've internalized certain ideals. And like in the process of unlearning that it's also a matter of like thinking like, what do I actually like?
Sure.
I think that's a great segue actually.
Yeah. So Thomas has done some research on what makes people think certain accents are sexier than others. So please enlighten us.
Well, sadly, there's no really way to like measure, like, why does someone think this accent is sexy? Because like they're just biases that are built into us. But there are two main theories. The first is that it has to do a lot with just like the familiarity of sounds. So if you are more familiar with a sound, you're more likely to like it. Because despite the fact that people say familiarity breeds contempt, it does really the opposite. Like, that's why people still like listening to the song Africa, because you've just heard it so many times, and eventually it comes around, and you're like, ah, yeah. But, so, obviously, like, these accents are not the same as English American accent, so they are different. But they are familiar enough that we recognize certain aspects of them. For example, a lot of people will complain about tonal language accents when they hear them because it's not familiar to them, and that just bothers their brain because your brain is taught to focus on certain aspects of language, and when people diverge from that, then your brain kind of like gets annoyed.
Interesting.
What are some examples of tonal languages?
So like Mandarin is a big example. It's one of the largest. Yeah, a lot of Asian languages are mainly tonal. Norwegian's technically also tonal, but I don't think you think about it that much, and it's not as pronounced. But like when people complain about like certain voices, that is often coming back to a lack of familiarity. But that doesn't really explain like why. Have we gone over the results of the survey already?
No.
Oh.
Don't give any spoilers away.
I won't give any spoilers away. Like, a lot of people agree that one of the accents is sexist, and it doesn't really explain like why would that language happen to be chosen by so many people when it's not necessarily the most familiar. So really it goes a lot down to how we've built these stereotypes and schemata in our mind. So, for example, we talked about like how English is kind of a colonialist mindset of like we were taught to like the English accent, but also just come a lot down to representation. So we see German as an angry language because we see World War II films and German characters are often presented as more angry and yelling, whereas English characters are presented as the smart lead characters, and Russians are always the villains, so sometimes we see that as more sinister sounding. And it can seem weird because when you're making these judgments in your own head, you're not like, oh, well, it doesn't seem like, it just seems like it's a more visceral response.
But it's related to pop culture a lot.
Yeah, like when you hear Italian and you think warm, you're not like, oh, well, I watched these shows which show Italians on the beach and having fun, and Australians are whimsical because I watched The Crocodile Hunter or Dundee. I don't know.
Lost track of the crocodile people.
Yeah. So you're not making that judgment, but you are kind of on a deeper level. And that's not 100% proven, but it does make the most sense because the accent that we find sexy are usually presented as the sexiest people. I feel like I've talked a lot now.
No, that's interesting though. I mean, I think that like what Ali said, it's kind of personal to like their actual voice, but also like what society has told us is this is sexy, and they've told that like over and over. We can come up with so many examples of like the ways that like British people are positively shown as being like the sexy, smart ones,
but not the Cockney people. Because they're presented.
That's true. That's actually interesting.
That's true.
But yeah, I mean that's still the first thing I hear. I think of when I think of the Cockney accent is like the chimney sweep, which is so horribly dated and awful.
Wait, from Mary
Poppins.
Wow, Dick Van Dyke apologized for that accent.
Yeah. I know. That's how bad it is.
Those accents. Oof.
Yeah.
Was that a oof or like a I'm sweating oof?
A bad oof.
So should we go over the results of the survey?
Please tell us.
Based on the people around the world, the 15,000 people that Babbel polled. So number one was French.
Ooh,
Taylor, congratulations. Interestingly, the only countries that, well, I guess you couldn't vote for yourself, so French people voted and said Italian was the sexiest. And then the only other country that said Italian was the sexiest, and the only other country that said French was not the sexiest, was Spain, who also said Italian was the sexiest.
You're so
and then,
close, though.
Yeah, it's
like
interesting. And then second was Italian, third was Spanish, fourth was English, fifth was German, sixth was Portuguese, and so on.
Portuguese is so low.
I'm surprised that English is so low. But maybe I feel like, I mean, like you said, with like...
Some people probably have a less positive
representation.
But this was done before Brexit, so...
True. And the other thing I can share is we actually put a call out on Facebook to see what our followers think are the sexiest European accents. So I'll just read off a few, I guess. So Jess said, British is great, but that's pretty basic, so I'll go with Italian.
Was that Jen?
It's one of my many fake Facebook accounts.
Exactly. Kate said, Irish, swoon. Elizabeth said, French, because it's just so smooth and romantic. Donna said, I don't know why, but I think British is the sexiest. And Nazarena said, Mine. Well-aged Italian, slightly noticeable, yet dare to tease curiosity.
Oh, like wine.
Nazarena knows what she wants.
Yes. It's how I like my cheese, actually.
What?
Well-aged.
Oh.
With a slight accent enough to tease you.
Yeah. Not too sharp. Anyway.
That's another episode for another day.
Yeah, we should have cheese.
A cheese tasting?
I think that's a great idea.
I think so as well.
Great podcast.
Well, Thomas isn't invited. And
Yeah.
neither is Ron.
Any other final thoughts on accents?
I think if you think accent's not sexy, you should find media that presents it as sexy. I don't know what that means exactly. Find some sexy Germans out there if you don't think German's sexy.
That's a good idea.
Yeah.
I like that.
Yeah, it's so kind of a weird, happy moral, but just examine what you think and introduce yourself to the world of sexiness. Everyone's sexy in their own way.
I think also just diversifying your media consumption. Even just on Netflix now, you can see shows from almost anywhere, either in their language or with accents representative of those cultures. I think that's a really healthy way to diversify some of your media and perception diet.
Mm-hmm.
Yes, exposure is great.
And also just not making a value judgment about a whole culture based off of whether or not you individually find something sexually appealing.
Yes.
It's a very important thing
It's a very important moral to take away from this
Everyone
episode.
does, yeah. Multilinguish is brought to you by Babbel, the language app. With Babbel, you can speak a new language with confidence. Convenient lessons are only 15 minutes, and you can choose from 14 different languages, including Spanish, French, Italian, and more. So Jen, what's your favorite lesson on Babbel?
Well, right now, Dylan, I'm studying French. I wouldn't say the lesson I took this morning was my favorite because it was a really boring grammar lesson. Basically, I remember a lot of French vocab, but none of how it fits together, which is a real problem if I need to make conversation in France. I will say my favorite French lesson so far of all time in Babbel is the one where it's a dialogue where she's going to a wedding and she knows none of her family, which I find really odd and a situation I hope to never find myself in. But I would say the most useful lesson was the grammar lessons that help you fit it all together.
Grammar is important. And we're offering Multilinguish listeners 50% off a 3-month subscription. New customers can get this offer by visiting babbel.com/podcast. That's BABBEL.com/podcast. Welcome back. We have another panel here, this time of Europeans, to talk about American regional accents. Babbel actually did another survey on American regional accents. We teamed up with Generator Hostels, a hostel chain, and we talked to 400 hostel staffers from 43 different European countries to get their take on the sexiest American accents. So, welcome to our panel. Can you all just go around and say your name and where you're from?
Sure. So my name is Alix Briard and I'm from France. I'm from Paris.
And my name is Elin and I'm from Sweden.
My name is Alexei. I'm from Russia.
Yeah, my name is Ruben and I'm from Portugal.
Great. Welcome, everyone. Excited to have you here.
Thank you.
And we're going to go all in on some American accents. Don't be afraid to be harsh. We were harsh on you guys, so. All right. So first up is, because we're in New York, the New York accent. So. Oh, and I should say that once again, not all of them, but once again, many of the accents will be performed by actor and accent coach Amy Walker. And we'll also have a couple from other people after.
Just focusing on New York for a minute, you get kind of this trumpet effect. I call it the trumpet. Because it's like here we are and it's really crowded in the city. So you gotta make your space.
So that's the New York accent. What do you guys think?
I think this actually is my favorite accent from the US. I don't know why. I don't look at the accents as sexy accents, but the ones that make me laugh the most.
So you think it's funny?
I think it's funny, but at the same time I really like it. Not like the Boston accent, which I just think is really funny.
We'll get to the Boston
We'll
accent.
get to that, yeah.
Okay, so you like it, but you don't think it's sexy, you just think it's funny and fun. Or nice to hear or something.
Yeah, I don't know. I think it's Also because I live in New York, I actually don't hear it that often. Like, I don't hear the New York accent in the streets, which is weird. But yeah, maybe in Brooklyn.
Yeah.
Yeah, I like it because it's pretty international, super easy to understand. But yeah, not especially very sexy. I don't know.
I think I hear this accent pretty often.
Really?
Here, yeah. I mean, but it's hard to say if it's the sexiest one because you need to compare, you know. And that's the first one that we just heard. So
fair.
Yeah.
Ellen?
I like it. Maybe not sexy, but it does remind you of a lot of popular culture that you've seen, right? I don't know, all of these TV shows and sitcoms and so on that are set in New York. So it definitely has something. It's charming, maybe not sexy, but as Alexei said, it's a matter of comparing, I guess, also.
True. All right. Well, let's take a trip down south.
Now, in general, y'all slow down a little bit. Y'all have to lean on something a little bit more. Because it's hot.
This definitely has something.
Yeah. I think this may be the one that I could consider sexy.
Why?
I don't know why. Something about more the, like, I always think about the Savannah accent. Like the, I do declare.
Alexei?
But I would say that it's like, it's the matter how the person say it. Maybe it's not like mostly about accent, but how the person, you know, pronounce it.
So it depends on the person.
Yeah.
And their voice.
Yeah, and the voice and the temper, or whatever. Like.
Yeah. Me, I really don't know if I find it sexy or not, because it's kind of very chewy, very kind of lazy attitude, you know, like meow meow meow, like like it's cool if I'm drunk, you know. I think I find it sexy. Yeah.
I don't know, I kind of like it. It's chill, it's laid back. You kind of want to sit on a porch and sip on something with someone nice.
Sweet tea.
Yeah.
And I think there's so many like different Southern accents. Like, I think this one is like kind of nice, but then there's like maybe, I don't want to like offend anyone, but like the Kentucky accent or something. Like it may sound a little bit like different.
I would say that this one is sexiest than the first one for me.
Yeah.
And I think that the reason I mentioned like this like Savannah accent, it's because like in TV or movies, like Savannah is like this Southern thing, like very chic, and like people who also speak French. And they have like these huge houses like in the swamp and stuff. Like I don't know. It's like the elite people of the South, I guess.
Interesting. Okay. So next up. So Amy calls this Midwest, but kind of it's more northern Midwest. Specifically, we'd consider it in our survey Minnesota accent, but it's kind of Minnesota, Wisconsin up there.
When you bring it up to the part of the country where the land is wide and flat, you're going to get more of a wide, flat sound to your accent. Up in Minnesota, Wisconsin.
Yeah, this one for me, it's like, reminds me always of Canada. So I guess it's because it's way up there.
It's very close to Canada, yes.
Yeah, I found this one as a funny one.
Yeah.
Funny.
Yeah. And also maybe it's, as I said before, it's like what person saying, you know, like, yeah, of course I can differentiate like how it's been said. But I mean, this is kind of funny. You know?
Yeah, I agree. It makes it very sympathical.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
So yeah, not especially sexy, but sympathical.
Yeah, like a town of people. Everyone is very nice to each other. Everyone says good morning and thank you.
Yeah. Not
Small
like
town
here.
feel.
Is this usually more nasal than the other ones, or is it just this example?
I think it usually is like that. Yeah. It tends to be a little more nasal.
Yeah. Also, it seems like everyone has a cold. Like.
Yeah. All right. Yeah.
Because
that's
very cold.
Sexy.
So,
All right, we're gonna head to the West Coast to Southern California.
And then, if you bring it sort of to the West Coast, and really more like to California, just get a little bit heavier, a little bit kind of louder, and just kind of here I am,
Yeah, that's gnarly, bro. I don't know. Yeah, I cannot find this one sexy as well because I always think of accents normally remind me of funny stuff. So this one always reminds me of the Californians in Saturday Night Live. It's so exaggerated that I cannot hear it like normally. Yeah, it's like surfer bros in the beach. Just hanging out, dude. Like,
yeah, exactly. Yeah, I like this accent. It's like, it's about California, California lifestyle. And that's what Ruben been saying. So yeah.
Do you find it attractive?
Yes.
Yeah.
I do. Yeah.
Okay.
I don't that much now. I mean, this is the only one that I would be able to like really put on the map. I think because it's so specific. But I'm not that into it. No, I know it. Like I know that a lot of people have this accent, but it's just hard to know. Is it a statement or is it a question?
That's fair.
Yeah,
for sure.
Alex?
I don't find it sexy as well because I find it young, kind of immature,
Yeah,
interesting.
That's the connotations it has to me too. Yeah.
To be sexy, you have to be, mature.
And it's weird because, like in Portugal, like I would compare this accent to the southern accent that we have because it's like the beach area, like where the weather is the best. Like everyone lives super close to the beach. And I mean, it's very different, but it's the closest, I would say. So maybe it's like region related.
Interesting. It's that beach life.
Yeah, because like on the East Coast, it's like kind of more rainy and everything. Like summer is great, but like we have seasons here, and like on the West Coast, it feels like it's summer most of the time. So maybe it's the chill of summer.
And also, it reminds me of when I was in California. The guy was riding a skate, and he was, at the same time writing something, writing some notes. And the dude next to me said, like, "Oh, this is so California."
Writing notes while on a skate.
True.
Yeah, exactly. That's a kind of Californian style.
But this is the one that's often referred to as Valley Girl, right?
Yes.
Yeah. Because I think I rarely hear men speak like this, like in the example.
True.
I'm not sure if it's also a little bit of a gender thing. I'm not sure. Maybe I haven't even
There are
met
surfers,
that many.
Yeah, I think like the stereotype of the surfer bro.
Totally, dude.
Yeah. I mean, it is really sympathetic, but maybe not sexy.
Yeah.
I would be with you there.
Yeah.
So now we're going on to Texas, which is in the South, but they have a slightly different dialect going on that was kind of called out in the survey as a separate, distinct accent. So,
Well, hi there, how are you doing? I'm Amy Walker. I'm 25 years old and I was born in Texas.
that's all you got of that one.
Yeah, I really like this one.
I like it too. I like the southern ones.
It's like the cowboy, reminds me of cowboys. And
Me too.
I don't know.
Yeah, I have the same association with the Cowboys, but it was really too short, to be able to say something like anything more.
Are cowboys sexy to you?
Sure.
But I think it probably would be a bit more challenging to understand if I had to like hear and talk for a full conversation with a vocabulary, because like they tend to speak very fast, and the accent is slightly different. So it is different. I don't know.
So why did they single this out as a different Southern accent?
I don't know. I mean, I think obviously in every region there's distinctions, but I think Texas really is known to have its own kind of flavor as compared to like what's considered deep South, which would be like Alabama, Mississippi, Louisiana. Although Louisiana has its own thing too. So
yeah.
Anyway.
Yeah, I just think it's also weird that it's such a different accent from the other southern ones, but it does not have any Spanish influence, which I would think like it would have more. I mean, maybe it does. Maybe that's the Spanish influence, but I cannot really, single it out. Especially because like Spain is next to Portugal, so we have a lot of Spanish influence, but I cannot hear the same in this southern accent. I don't know if that makes sense, but
I'm not sure.
And like the cultures are so intertwined, like for so many years, that it's strange that it's not more like a singy. Even though like the Mexican Spanish is also very slow, so maybe that's it. I don't know.
Yeah, that's why it's so special. So because
Interesting. All right. Now we're gonna go way up to Boston.
I certainly agree with both of my colleagues. And it's not just Cummings Park, it's Car Park, it's Plaisted Park, it's throughout the community. I think at this point too, I'd like to send an official resolve to the DPW to do not only the cleanup at all these parks, but do a preventative maintenance plan on the top lots as well.
Yeah, I love the Boston accent.
Yeah, me too.
Like
you love it?
I love it. It's so funny. It's like everyone is always mad. They don't have time. Like, you need to see the park. I'm going to the park. I gotta find my car keys. Like, your car keys or your khakis? Like,
so you love it because it's funny.
It's really funny, and it's super rough. And sometimes I don't understand it at all. Like,
but is it sexy funny or funny?
No, not sexy at all.
Oh. Not sexy at all.
I'm sorry, people of Boston.
Other thoughts?
Yeah, I haven't been in Boston as well, so it's. I would say that's the first time I hear it, and it looks different from what I've heard before. So I mean, I cannot say it's a sexist one. No, I don't find it sexy.
I'm not sure. Maybe I do. It has a lot of sounds, Yeah.
Pack a cat and have it,
yeah. No. Okay, well, maybe not.
I don't know. I kind of like it. Like, I don't know. Like you said, like they're always they sound like they're angry or pretty serious. So like,
there's this roughness to it.
You're serious.
That's finally man say it.
Huh?
Right? That's finally dude say it.
Yeah.
And you like maturity, as we heard.
Maybe.
So maybe their anger is mature.
That's bad, maybe. I don't know.
A mature, angry man from New England.
I don't even know if it's like anger. It's like they're always in a hurry, but I guess they're not like really going anywhere, but it's like everything they say, it's in a hurry. They don't have time to explain you anything. Like.
All right. And lastly, we have kind of the generic Midwestern, not up in Minnesota, but kind of in the middle of the country. It's also called the American Midland accent.
I'm originally from Dayton, Ohio. I've actually moved around quite a lot, but I think my accent is pretty standard, what's known as the standard Midland accent.
Yeah, I would actually call this the standard American accent.
Yeah, I was gonna say the exact same thing, yeah.
Like this is what
news news anchor American. So,
yeah, exactly.
Yeah, the guy clearly stated that it's a kind of standard, so very clear, like very easy to understand, especially like for me. So yeah, I don't know if I find it like sexiest one, but just very clear.
It's the most neutral accent.
Yeah, exactly, neutral.
Yeah, this is the accent I hear normally in New York because so many people are from all around America.
Mm-hmm.
Like in Brooklyn, I can definitely hear the New York accent way more, but like here in Manhattan, like this is what I hear from Americans that are not from New York.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Are Americans if someone moves from say the South to New York and kind of blend in with everyone, are they a bit like do they tend to be ashamed of their accents and try to speak more standard, or how
That's
is
a good question. I think it depends on the person and where they're from. I think there are some stereotypes up here about Southerners, so maybe Southerners who are ashamed would temper that, but I think a lot of them are proud of it. Other parts of the country, I don't think they even try. Yeah, I don't think they'd care to change it or anything.
Yeah.
Not sure.
I feel like I only been here for a year, but I feel like the accents kind of morph into this like Midwestern accent.
Because you start to lose.
Yeah, I don't know if people do it on purpose or not, but I feel like that it's just like the evolution of their accent. Maybe when they go back home for Thanksgiving, it comes back or something. But
so if this is standard American, I guess your thoughts on this would kind of paint a larger picture of how sexy you think Americans are in general.
Well, they're cool. I don't know.
Cool, not sexy.
They shouldn't. They should like think more about like when they're voting and stuff. Like,
That wasn't sexy.
I'm not gonna name any names.
This is not a political podcast.
but this is not America's problem. Like every country has this problem. So I don't know. I still think New York accent is.
Yeah.
It's hard for me to call it sexy. Like I don't find it like particularly sexy, but it's like my favorite accent, I think.
All right. So do we want to go around and say our favorite and least favorite?
Yeah. Sure.
I don't have a least favorite.
You don't?
No, I think accents are.
None of them you think. Okay. How about least sexy though? That's different.
I would say like okay, like the regular America, the Midwest, the Middle America accent. I would find the least interesting.
Okay.
But I still like it.
Yeah, I don't want to offend anybody.
It's okay, we offend you guys.
We're from
It's
Europe.
only fair.
No, we're from Europe.
Yeah,
We don't want to
probably
offend
the least
anyone.
sexiest is a Boston accent. And the most sexiest is a Southern, the accent that we heard like second.
Okay, the deep south.
Yeah, so that's my opinion. Yeah.
I agree on the Southern, actually. It has a lot of personality, a lot of charm. But I also like the just very standard American. I guess I prefer American. I think American accents generally are sexier than, say, Australian or New Zealand.
Thank you. What's your least sexiest choice?
Yeah, maybe I have to go with the Southern California one. But
Okay.
Yeah, I'm sorry.
Yeah,
the one that I know from California.
California people.
I have the same choice. Least favorite is probably California, and my favorite would be the standard American, I think.
Yeah.
Interesting.
But I do like New York too, actually.
Yeah, but it's very close.
Yeah.
These two, New York and the standard.
Okay, well, would you like to hear the survey results?
Yes.
Yeah.
All right. So, remember, these are 400 European hostel workers from 43 different countries. And overall rankings, number 1, Deep South.
No way.
Yep, 20%.
This is people from Europe are saying.
Yes.
Yeah.
Sexiest. Number 2 was New York with 18%, not far behind.
All right.
Yep.
And number 3 was Boston with 17%.
Interesting.
And even California wasn't far behind with 16%. Then you had Texas, then Midwestern, which was the standard, and then last place was Minnesota with only 5%. Are you surprised by these results?
No, I'm not that surprised. It was pretty much in line with what I
No, yeah,
thought.
maybe Boston. Like,
Yeah.
I could have thought that people don't like this accent.
I was surprised by how high Boston was, to be honest.
So it's such a distinct accent as well. Like it's very hard to not think about it. Like,
I think people like it because it has this British vibe, kind of.
True.
Which is what I like in the accent.
And so the interesting thing is that they also broke it down by which countries thought certain things. So, for instance, Brits are most attracted to the Southern California Valley Girl accent.
Okay.
And so are Swedes.
Oh, yeah.
Wow.
Yeah, we consume a lot of popular culture from California. I guess we are conditioned.
For French, French people thought New York was the sexiest, and so did Italians. German, Spaniards, and Dutch people thought Boston was the sexiest. And only Ireland actually ranked Deep South number 1, but it had the overall highest ranking,
Okay. Yeah.
which is interesting. And almost every country said Minnesota was the least attractive.
Sorry,
I'm just curious. Do people find more attractive the accent which is like common to their accent?
So
Probably
yeah,
there's some relationship.
I think there is, and we kind of discussed this in our first panel about why people think certain accents are sexier, and we talked about exposure. We talked about either in real life or in pop culture, and we also talked about kind of some tropes and stereotypes. For instance, a lot of Americans find the German accent a little harsh and angry, based a lot of it on World War II pop culture. So there's definitely an element of bias in there. Yeah. I think we should leave it there. So thanks very much to our panel for joining us.
Thank you. Thank you for having us.
For having us.
Yay.
Multilinguish is produced by the content team at Babbel. We are
Thomas Moore Devlin,
David Duchin,
Steph Koifman,
Dylan Lyons,
and I'm Jen Jordan. Ruben Vilash makes us sound good. Our logo was designed by Ali Zhao. You can read more about this episode's topic and even more on Babbel magazine. Just visit babbel.com/magazine. Say hi on social media by finding us at Babbel USA, all one word. Finally, if you like what you heard, please rate and review this podcast. We really appreciate it.
Thomas?
I don't know. I don't find any of them like particularly like,
You don't find them appetizing?
cut that.